right, so we are starting chapter 6.3 that is taking everything that we've done so far and putting it all together and doing multi-step equations. So the thing that we need to remember about solving for multi-step equations, so whenever we're solving, we always do PEMDAS, right? If we have an order of operations, we do the parentheses first, then the exponents. Well, and whenever we're solving for variables, you actually do the opposite, which is how we came up with that one time SADMAP. So we do our subtraction, addition first, and then we do our multiplication, division. So knowing that, and we have the problem, we have the problem 4x plus 6 is greater than or equal to 54. So in order to solve this first, we have to first look at our variable x. Our variable x is being multiplied by 4 and added by 6. So to do those in order, you would add or subtract 6 from both sides, right? Because this is positive 6. So you subtract 6 from each side, which gives us 4x is greater than or equal to 48. And then next up, we know that our variable x is being multiplied by 4. So I have to divide each side by 4, which gives me x is greater than or equal to 12. So the solutions are all real numbers greater than or equal to 12. Because it has both of the greater than or equal to, whenever we go to graph it, it's going to be a closed circle, and it's going to be all these numbers to the right. So again, we do the order of operations backwards. We did our subtraction, addition first, which in this case we subtracted, and then we did our multiplication, division, which we did dividing. So that's a two-step inequality. This is now a multi-step where we're going to have lots of things to do. So I have my problem. We first see that x is being added to 21 and it's also being multiplied to 1/3. When we're solving these, the first thing that we want to do is we want to do the distributive property. We want to do that 1/3 times x and the negative 1/3 times 21. So negative 1/3 times x gives us negative 1/3 x. Negative 1/3 times 21 gives us 7. So now my variable x is being multiplied by negative 1/3 and being subtracted by 7. So I need to add 7 to both sides, which once we add 7 to both sides, we get 9. And now we see that our variable x is being multiplied by negative 1/3. When it comes to fractions, you just do the reciprocal. So you flip the reciprocal, so you multiply by negative 3, right? Because negative 3 times 1 is negative 3. Negative 3 divided by 3 gives me 1. So also note that we're multiplying each side by a negative number, meaning we also have to reverse my symbol. So I know that x is now greater than negative 27. Again, note that my assign originally was saying less than, and now it's greater than. And when I go to graph it, or on the number line, all of my answers are going to be greater than negative 27. So my circle is going to be open, and I'm going to go to all these numbers this way. Again, why I'm multiplying by negative 3, I want to show you. If I have negative 1/3 and I multiply it by its reciprocal, which this is what its reciprocal is, 1 times negative 3 is negative 3. 3 times negative 1 is negative 3. 3 divided by negative 3 gives me 1, which is how we're able to isolate this to 1x. All right, so go ahead and do the quick check 2 problems, and then we will move on from there. So pause the video, work on it, and then unpause it and come back to this video. All right, this first one, we see our variable w is being multiplied by negative 5 and subtracted by 2. So the first thing that we want to do is our addition and subtraction problems. So I need to add 2 to both sides. So I have negative 5w is greater than or equal to 25. And now our variable w is being multiplied by negative 5. So we need to divide by negative 5. And not only are we dividing by negative 5, but we also have to reverse my symbol. 25 divided by negative 5 gives me negative 5. And it's less than or equal to, so my circle is going to be closed. It's going to be all of those numbers. Okay? Next one I have my y is being subtracted by 2.2 and all of that's being multiplied by 2. So the first thing we want to do is distributive property. So in distributive property, 2 times y is 2. 2 times negative 2.2 is negative 4.4. It's all greater than 0. And so now we do our addition subtraction. So if this is subtracting 4.4, we want to add 4.4 to both sides. So I have 2y is greater than 4.4. And now our variable y is being divided by 2. It's being multiplied by 2, so we have to divide by 2. And this is positive, so we don't change our symbol. So y is greater than 2.2. And then I find 2.2, the graph's going to be open because there's just greater than or less than. And then it's going to be all of these numbers this way. So the only thing, whenever this is different than the usual equations, is just when we get to this down part right here, when we're dividing or multiplying by a negative number. If it's negative, we just have to remember to change the sign. That's the big thing that I want you to keep in mind on Thursday when you have your quiz, is if it's a negative, if you're multiplying or dividing by a negative number, that number that's negative, if that's being multiplied or divided to both sides, that's when you change the symbol. All right, this last one, this is trying to decide if the inequality is even possible to solve, so what that looks like. Okay, so I'm going to give you this problem. 8x plus 3 is greater than 2 times 4x plus 1. So the first thing that we want to do is try to make them equal to each other. We're still trying to solve for a variable, so we got to move things around a little bit more. So the first thing I'm going to do is distributive property, which is 2 times 4x, which gives us 8x. And 2 times 1 gives me 2. So now I want to subtract 8x from both sides. And when I do that, I end up with 3 is greater than 2. And because 3 is greater than 2, it's a true statement, all real numbers are solutions because 3 is greater than 2, meaning this is a true statement. So no matter what number I can put in for x, it will always be true because we solved for x. And so because this is a true statement, any number that we plug in for x, it will be a true statement. So if it's going to say, if the question has solved the inequality if possible, this will be my answer, and you would say my answer is all real numbers are solutions. So this is technically my answer. Okay, so this next one, the first thing I want to do again is distributive property. So I have 24b minus 3. I subtract 24b from each side. So I end up with negative 3 is greater than or equal to, is less than or equal to negative 4. And this is not a true statement. So because it's not a true statement, there are no solutions because negative 3 is not less than or equal to negative 4. So the answer is false. So on this answer, whenever you go to try to solve for b and you end up with this statement that's not true, the answer is no solutions. So what does that look like? Right here. Okay, if you want to try it on your own, you're more than welcome to try it on your own. So this is 18 plus 4w is greater than or equal to 1/2 times 8w plus 36. So now I want to solve this side. And you have 18 plus 4w is greater than or equal to 1/2 times 8w is 4w. 1/2 times 36 is 18. So then I subtract 4w from either side, it doesn't matter which side. You have 18 is less than or equal to 18. Is this a true statement? Is 18 less than or 18 is greater than or equal to 18? Yes, that is a true statement. Even though it looks weird, this underline underneath it indicates it is a true statement. So all real numbers are solutions. Okay, so let's solve this one. Let's solve the variable for this one. First thing I do is distributive property. Negative 2 times 3z is negative 6z. Negative 2 times negative 1 gives me positive 2. So I need to add 6z to both sides. which makes that 0. So I have 2 is less than 1. That is not a true statement. So my answer is no solution.